So we got our 2015 Silverado here on the lift, and first thing we're going to do is pull the front end and the cab. We're going to unbolt the bed, but we're not going to take it off. This will give me a better look at if there's anything wrong with the motor, and once the cab is off, I can decide if I'm going to repair it or replace it. Either way, it's going to have to come off and be stripped out. Pulling the cab scares a lot of people, but it's really not that hard. I could leave the front end attached to the cab, but because the last guy took all the bolts out of the fender, there's not going to be enough support for the radiator support when I lift it up, and it's just going to go everywhere. So I'm just going to take those pieces apart individually. It's going to take a little bit longer that way, but not too much longer. These things actually come apart pretty easy. Okay, the first improvement getting rid of this stupid junk. So now we're going to pull the hood off. It's just 4 bolts. There's supposed to be some springs on there that hold it up, but the last guys didn't put those back in. Hood's a little awkward. Truck's a little tall and I'm a little short. Luckily, all these parts are no good, so if I drop them, it doesn't really matter. Can't make them any worse. Closeout panel off. Now we're going to take the fender off. That's that one Phillips screw holding the front of the fender on. Fender's loose. We got our 1 bolt in the back and we're done. Now we'll take off the right fender. There's a few more bolts on this side. I did find out they did have it off. So even though I had a few more, it didn't have all the ones it was supposed to. Pull it out a little bit. The radiator support was back and I couldn't get to the bolts. I had to give myself a little more room. Get them on now. Now, to remove the cab, pull the shifter cable off. I'll pull the e-brake cable off. This is the fastest way I found to get these apart. Just an excuse to use my favorite tool. I'm going to take off the stupid step bars. These are aftermarket. They're mounted to where the body bolts go on, and every single body bolt was bent, kind of like a C-shape. You can see the tension that was on the cab when it popped off when I loosened it up. That's the left front body bolt. That one's bent the most. Position our cab on the lift. Check it, make sure it's not going to fall off before we start lifting it. Just going to lift it up a little bit at first. It's not disconnected yet. We just need a little more room.
Frame's a little shorter there. I'm going to take the steering shaft off. Got my favorite tool out again. It was jammed together. It's supposed to just slide out, but that wasn't the case. We're going to take off our power steering lines, master cylinder, heater hoses, all the wiring. Lift it up a little bit, make sure we got everything. Go a little at a time so we don't damage anything that we might have forgotten. I'm going to check again. And again. One more time. We're all good. I wish the lift really went that fast. So now we're going to pull the bed off. Disconnect the filler neck first. It's just 3 screws inside there. You don't have to take the whole baffle out. There's a junction box on the back of these things on the frame. So we're just going to disconnect all our wiring harnesses that go to it. There's one for each tail light, one for the bed lights inside, and one for the tailgate. So after we get those off, we're going to tuck them up inside the bed so that when we lift the bed off, they're not dangling down and getting caught on things. I'm also going to disconnect the rear bumper harness because we're going to take that off eventually anyway. Now we're going to pull our bed bolts out. There's 8 of them. I'm only going to take out 6. I want to leave the last 2 in there so when I move the truck around, I don't have to worry about the bed shifting and causing any damage. This is also one of the reasons I like GM trucks. The bolts go from the bottom up. I don't have to take the bed liner out. On Fords, they go the other way around. If they got a spray-in bed liner, it's lots of fun. And they're Torx, so you end up having to cut the heads off of them a lot of times because they won't come out. Now we got everything out of the way, we can look at how bad our damage is. That's our tail shaft housing, our transfer case with the split all the way around it. Our bell housing with inspection ports. The cover on the back of the motor that's broken. There's a few sensors on the back of the motor that are smashed too. Nothing big. That's the right front motor mount. It pulled right out of the bolt. The left side, the bolts pulled out of the frame. That's the frame on the left side where it's all collapsed. And the brake and fuel lines, which is another reason I bought a parts car. Because trying to get these lines straight again isn't an easy task. So now we're looking at the bottom of the cab. There's the driver's side. Floor is all collapsed. That would be about where the front of the front seat is. And the buckles go all the way to the back of the cab. So it needs a complete floor section, which I do have on the rollover truck. A little damage on the other side from where the trans hit it.
So for those of you that don't know, this isn't my shop. I only rent it on the nights and weekends, so I can't just go all in on this build. I can't just take everything apart and start switching parts over. I have to have stuff out of the way for when the shop opens. So that's why I have to pull it in, take it apart, pull it back out, wait, and then start on the next part. So that's why it takes a little bit longer, but the actual working time on this truck is not going to be that long. 80% of the job will be done in one weekend. That being said, we have to work up to that weekend. I need to get everything ready so that that weekend goes smoothly. I've had a lot of practice at this. That's why I can make it work. This is the way I've done things for years. It would be great to have my own shop where I could just work on it, get it done, but that's not how this works, for me at least. If it takes a little longer than you guys are hoping, sorry. I've been waiting for this truck much longer than you guys, so just bear with me a little bit. It will get done. You won't miss anything. I will have a time lapse of the entire job, start to finish. When I'm all done, it'll be stuff that isn't included in these videos. You'll see the entire build. In the meantime, while I'm waiting for some free time to work on this truck, I'm going to start looking for a cab. And the reason for that is I have enough to build an entire cab, but I'm missing a roof. A used roof is about $400. A new one is $700. If I figure that into the price of a used cab, plus maybe some of the extras and labor time that I'm going to save, it might be beneficial if I can find the right cab to just buy a cab. But that's going to take a little searching. Even though there's no actual work being done on this build, there's still behind the scenes stuff you don't see. I am looking for parts. I am trying to find the best prices because I'm not just throwing money at this truck and trying to build it. I'm also trying to save money. That's the whole point of doing this. And for everyone that says I can't, well, you're already wrong. Sorry. Next time I have a little free time, I'm going to pull the motor out and see exactly what I need and if I can save it. If I can, we'll do whatever we need to do to get it ready to go back in the truck. And then hopefully we'll have everything ready for that one marathon weekend when we can put this whole truck back together. So, like the video if you found it interesting. Share it if you think somebody else might. Subscribe if you want to see more of this build and some of my other time lapses. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.